Beach, if I could make contact at number 74. RP is willing to assist prosecution.
Copy at 5 minutes.
King, Edward Robert. First head Emily, middle initial E. Edward. By female, date of birth 11/13/1997, 11/13/1990.
8271, your place on tackle, going for speeding.
Copy, thank you. 9:30 Lee Summit. 9:36 Master 50.
Okay, 13.
Okay. First name Skylar, Sam King, Young, Lincoln Edward Robert. Initial L Lincoln, it's a white male. Date of birth is 09/25/1996, 09/25/1996. Street back Foster, walking around there too. Yeah, he just entered the south, so it's 257 Main Street there. Okie dokie.
Thank you.
Can I get a room, please?
Anyway.
Take them.
8 minutes. Eight minutes.
Man on a GMC Sierra. 3 George Tom, Union 2 Nora, Edward Charles 8, John George 5, 42973.
No warrants, 22 expiration on a 2018 GMC, showing to Dwayne Ross, 8557 North Highland Avenue.
Copy, thank you. It's just parked beers. I was on the spot.
Copy.
1, showing 22. I'll stick with the stall. 5470 eastbound at Douglas on the right shoulder.
Copy, 470 eastbound at Douglas. Show me a route.
Showing your route, 10 minutes. Medic 4, Austin.
Yeah, Ethan.
I gave you that plate wrong. Turn around again.
540, A2 for lunch. Medic 540, A2 for lunch.
Show me at 1804 Grandview Road. On a traffic stop. Right. We got one today.
Hold.
Alright, we saw 242. Choose. That's straight there.
Will you call the Joe when you get a moment, please?
Service.
Hey, hi. Kansas side. The weather has been for Ash Wednesday. The weather was gorgeous, spring-like.
King, Ida, Henry, Nora. First name, Sam, Adam, King, Ocean, Adam. White male, date of birth, 2001, 613, 2001, 613, hours of age.
Yesterday was Ash Wednesday, as of 15 minutes ago. We are now in the season of Lent, which means that Catholics don't eat meat on Fridays, and we're supposed to give up something or dedicate ourselves to something, or time of reflection and thinking about things and praying and trying to become better human beings. Lent is 40 days and 40 nights, followed by Easter, Holy Week and Easter. And this year's Lent has deeper meaning because of what's going on in Ukraine.
George Paul, Kansas, US 169 and 175. 45 range. Go ahead. 511. John Boy Robert. 46. I'll take a cash bond receipt for 232.
I keep talking about this book about that I haven't read. I've only read the first part of it. And thought it was my friend's dad who wrote the book, but actually it's he interpreted the book. He's a Russian language expert. As I'm looking at the book, and it says it was written by the Russian General Staff. So it has many authors. And one person whose job it was to compile all this material and interpret it with the appropriate cultural, how do you say that? You don't just interpret a language. That's what makes this guy an academic and a scholar, and also somebody who has dedicated his life to studying a people and their customs and traditions. And you don't just interpret a language, you have to interpret a culture, because language is more than just a different way of saying things. It's a whole way of thinking. And many interpreters can do a direct interpretation of somebody's words and the meaning of their words and everything. But the best interpreters would know the cross references in culture, because there are a lot of phrases and words that have no interpretation in another language, and you just pretty much have to understand a mindset, and that makes this really tricky. Pretty much this is a book, it's called The Soviet-Afghan War, How a Superpower Fought and Lost. And I'm sure you can find this in a lot of libraries. But pretty much where you're only going to find it is actually in a military library. These are the books that officers check out to get to know and study the tactics of another nation. And at the time this book was written, when was this? University of Kansas Press. This superb translation will generate widespread and unprecedented interest in the subject, offering a candid view of a war that played a significant role in the ultimate demise of the Soviet Union. This book presents analysis absolutely vital to Western policymakers, as well as to political, diplomatic, and military historians, and anyone interested in Russian and Soviet history. It also provides insights regarding current and future Russian struggles and ethnic conflicts, both at and within their borders, struggles that could potentially destroy the Russian Federation. David M. Glantz, co-author of The Battle of Kursk. Yeah. You're going to look at things like this and you're going to go, when was this written? This was written after, when? Let me see the date on this, because this was actually written a few years ago. Modern War Studies. The foreword is something I find very interesting. This was written in 2002. Translated and edited by Lester W. Grau and Michael A. Gress. Forward by Theodore C. Metaxas. That's Brigadier General Theodore C. Metaxas, retired. The Russian General Staff Authors Collective is headed by Colonel Professor Valentin Runov, candidate of history. Members and authors collective include P.D. Alexeyev, Yeah. And when you go through this book, there's a lot of very fine print. There's a map of Afghanistan, but you'll see lots of battle maps, like tactical, individual battles that were lost or won, what happened, statistics, data, more tactical maps. And of course, in the middle are pictures from the war. What's interesting, I have to go through a few words of the foreword. That's the most interesting part to me, because it talks about essentially why the Russians are about to lose this war they're in now, and but it's more than that. It also talks about why the Americans have lost similar wars that we've gotten involved in, and I wish people would just read that part and go, we should not get involved in that conflict. It's a bad idea. But I don't know. Nobody asks the experts. And when the American-Afghan War began in 9/11, I asked one of those experts, what's going to happen? And he said, well, we have 6 months to win the hearts and minds of people. And after that, no matter what we do, we've lost the war. If we haven't done that, if we haven't accomplished that. And also, he said it's not going well, even as the battles were beginning. And just a month or two after 9/11, he said it's not going well, not at all. He said, and this is a guy that was going all over the country at the time, being shipped over by the military to talk to the experts, the people who had to put boots on the ground and plan all the logistics and everything. And he said, at the time, everybody below the rank of colonel was listening to him avidly because their lives really depended on the words that he said. He said everybody above the rank of colonel, it was like talking to a wall. And we wonder why wars get started, and how somebody like Putin can be in a bubble and nobody can get through to him. He doesn't want to listen to anybody. He's going to do things his way. Well, just imagine, it's like talking to children. It very much is. And children have that thing too, where they're going to do what they're going to do, and you can't tell them any other way. You just kind of guide them. You kind of go, okay, well, this is what's going to happen, and I have the unfortunate job of being the one to say I told you so in the end. And that's not what you want to hear, but unfortunately, and I told you so in this case means many innocent people will die. A very dangerous situation is about to, it's already here. The Russian Federation is an attempt to maintain the greatness of the old Soviet Union. Well, the Soviet Union was a dying, decaying empire. And at the end of the Soviet era, what was left over? Grim destruction of the environment, horrible living conditions, people who desperately needed to be educated and assisted. You know, in many cases, it's so complicated. I don't even want to go into it. But in many cases, like, where were the Americans? Where were the Europeans when all this was happening? Oh, busy living our lives and chasing after money and everything. Allowing those who had somehow amassed power in the old Eastern Bloc to create dangerous, unstable, top-heavy forms of government, dictatorships, and not helping and assisting and building democracies. So maybe we're all paying for that now. Anyway, I'm going to go get my stuff here, and I can continue this boorishness in a bit.
Heard it about 30 seconds ago, but has heard it opening and closing multiple times. 1-1, I copy it. 24 minutes. Traumatic injury code to send. Engine 71, medic 1141, 10800, West 75th Terrace, apartment, in front, at Fox Run Apartments at 10,800 West 75th Terrace. RP has a black Toyota Avalon that's in the driveway. It belongs to her. Shouldn't be any other cars. Signal subject code 2.84, medic 1155, 132, East Lawrence Street, apartment C, at Savannah Park Apartments at 132 East Lawrence Street.
Engine 84.
Engine 84.
Yeah, we'll take the call. Quick and hold.
Engine 84, okay. Signal subject code 2, engine 84, 132, East Lawrence Street, apartment C, at Savannah Park Apartments at 132 East Lawrence Street. 84, you can hold.
Engine 84 responding.
Engine 84 responding. Code 2 subject, 132 East Lawrence, apartment C, Savannah Park Apartments.
46, I'm arriving on that. 71 Terrace, Springfield.
Copy. Like 1136 at the hospital. Like 1136 at the door. Engine 71 responding. Code 2 base injury 10800 West 75th Terrace in front of Fox Run Apartments. Medical 41 checking. Medical 1141 responding. Medical 1141 is first aid. Medical 1155 responding. Code 2 subject 132 East Lawrence.
350 copy. Suicide activity. From 127 and state line, go ahead. You're on to 127, High Drive. RP says it seems like someone's trying to get into her bedroom door. Copy. 330 suspicious activity. 42 to that, huh? Engine 80 back there.
Okay, it's house 27 minutes.
Good. 423 North Marion RP states a female screaming, banging on the door. RP thinks no one is home, does not recognize the female. She's now pacing on the front porch.
And I do back first.
30. I can start heading that way as well from 107 Road. Maybe you can.
27.
As long as 20 is okay with it, we'll act as 2 man. 10-4, 31 back. First 2 Nelson. Yeah, a similar call on the 24th. And it was unfound. Copy. At 3:30, RP Stadium, not sure how she arrived there. See a vehicle, possibly on foot. 11:15 in service. That's 5 minutes. Same sort of thing in November as well. Turned out it was her son. What you guys confirming, is this RP's house that's Nell's at, or is it she just been terminated?
Well, Parker still has her on the phone. Advise when you guys can get to the front door near to meet you there.
46 posted and released.
Go ahead.
3:30. RP's calling.
Lincoln Henry 1, Team 1 Edward. Lincoln Henry 1, Team 1 Edward. Over in now.
I'm not much of a reader, I guess, but it's amazing what sits in libraries.
149, good.
I mean, you can literally tell what's going to happen in the future without getting in a time machine. Just look at the books. The people, very educated, smart people, well-traveled people. I mean, not just book smart, but people who've lived the life. Oh, nice red light. I'm going to turn green eventually. Who live the life
Robert X-ray 1,
of
7 William Q.
well, whatever they're talking about, and have moved up from,
30. Front of that 150.
you know, like in this case, being a soldier, becoming a commander, leading troops, getting in, studying the adversary, becoming friends with the adversary. Let's not forget that. Becoming friends with the adversary and working towards understanding. And the idea is not necessarily to understand in order to be able to disassemble and destroy them later, but to try and understand other people and other ideas so that maybe we can prevent the misunderstandings from turning into deadly conflicts with horrible consequences. Some people say, well, you know, soldiers, all they do is they're a blunt instrument, and their job is to destroy and kill, and which is partially true, but you'd be amazed at what the Department of Defense in America and in other countries, war departments do, the diplomatic efforts, the military efforts to try to comprehend and understand and how to make peace possible. And, you know, it sounds like a bad cliche or an insincere slogan, but Strategic Air Command used to have, of the United States Air Force, used to have a slogan that said, "Peace is our profession." And that was a belief that by harboring, holding on to, and controlling the deadliest weapons that man has ever devised, we've made war so horrible that it's a deterrence to starting a war, which has never really been true. So now it looks like we're leaning into the unthinkable. We thought we were over this in 1991, 92 when the Soviet Union fell apart and democracy started springing up everywhere. But we quickly figure out that if we don't maintain peace, if we don't work towards justice in the world and consideration of everybody's point of view, then we won't have peace for very long. What horrible exist, we will find a way to use them, even if it means destroying our future. So people who think, well, we got these horrible weapons, surely we would not be. And first off, I think our planet will recover just fine from whatever we do. We won't destroy our planet, we'll destroy each other. And you can argue that's within our nature. As a matter of fact, to me it seems like nature has been trying to kill people. I keep joking about it, but maybe it's true that there's too many human beings on the planet, and nature is kind of going, well, what can we do to get this population down a bit? My brother-in-law asked me, well, who gets to decide that? I didn't have an answer. I was like, well, here I am. I'm being this smug, smart-alecky American looking down my nose at other people, and sure enough, great American culture will prevail, and all these other people will be the ones to pay the price. After the beerfluenza, I think I have an answer to that question. Who will decide? We will decide. Through our own stupidity, our inability to listen, our stubbornness. Right now we have a man who is a result of more than 100 years of history, living in a bubble, which they say apparently is a dictator disease, that a person isolates himself and eventually surrounds himself with yes men and yes women or whatever, and next thing you know, everybody's afraid to say no to the person, or afraid to say, hey, that's a bad idea, because a leader really is only worth their advisors. And if all the advisors are too afraid to say, you shouldn't be doing that, that's where bad ideas come from. They also, there's also been this idea put forth that maybe the beerfluenza has made things worse, because not only is it isolated people from each other, but it's isolated leaders from everyone. I never noticed that people were talking about how Putin, even when he meets with people, sits at the end of a really long table. It's fodder for comedians. From human contact. And again, maybe this is nature's answer to the overpopulation. You know, when everybody was staying at home in early March, April 2020, all of a sudden the air started clearing up over cities. Rivers started turning river color, blue, the color of water, instead of brown or gray or in some cases black. And the whole planet just kind of went, ah, wow, what do we got to do to keep this going? I don't want to get into the arcane philosophical ideological mumbo jumbo theoretical ideas that maybe there's a symbiotic life form that is our planet. We all are part of, say, Mother Earth. That's for, I think, educated people to decide. I are not that educated. Fun to think about. Sometimes fun to talk about, but not.
Northbound 210 and Shenzhen. 53 shaft violation 210 and show northbound license negative 29 20 response 2006 150 overall shrine.
I'm just thinking about
21 644 back.
This situation and how I somehow, my uneducated ass, somehow managed to read something in a book, and I'm like, is that real? I gotta go back and get that book and look at it again. And yeah, it's real. And I see that some very smart, educated, well-experienced people, not just book smart, but they walk the walk. They live the history. Have put together some, and it accurately points at the future, very accurately. And there's a meme going around saying, "Isn't it amazing? Just have some military." Navigate in Google Maps.
0 Adam Edward, Tom 40.
Transmission is unstable. By Barwell Hall. It makes me wonder if there's what causes that dead spot there. Sometimes Wi-Fi gets interrupted by strong signals that jam, and 5G internet and everything else like that, stronger signals that jam it. Okay, now you're a structure fire. I'm going to attempt to get my TVU before I head to the structure fire. It's a good thing to, sounds kind of half-assed, but it's a good thing to actually Before you head out there, you might actually miss spectacular anyway, because fire departments are very fast. Let me tell you. I tell you what, as Hank Hill would say. Unless you can get there in 5 minutes, they're going to have it out in about 10. So usually you pick up the aftermath unless it's a really big fire. So it behooves you to actually start listening before you head out somewhere as fast as you can to try and get the great pictures, because we're getting into a time where gas is kind of expensive, and you go all the way to southern Johnson County and you find out. Now if it's like 5 minutes away, I'll turn in that direction. I did that yesterday, and it turned out to be just a small outlet in a back bedroom that filled the house with smoke. And I haven't heard anything on this. Maybe I should turn on my scanner. Radio scanner here. Since I think it's charged up. It says green. Clean my car. Like, and it feels a lot of big bowl of spaghetti here, wires, but I might get to where I read this forward. Oh yeah, that's right. They're 6 minutes delayed in Kansas, so we might hear some of the updates here.
Robert, 875 North Lincoln, Robert, Kansas.
And 323 and 343 be advised, the husband is trying to put out the fire.
George 1, 43 Sam, George 1, 43 Sam, behind 4
It's a kitchen fire.
Chevrolet Sonic, looks to be occupied time 2, possibly back in the fire apartment.
The husband is putting it out, trying to put it out. We'll listen to that for a second. Oh, and we'll hit this this ridiculous roadblock here. I don't know what they're doing, what's going on here, but there's all these cones they put around. They blocked off a huge chunk of the street, but no work has been done. let's hope we don't end up with somebody dying because they're trying to save their property. Like you say, this is 6 minutes delayed.
875 Nora Lincoln Rockford, Kansas.
I do these hump day broadcasts because you know, hump day, yeah, kind of thing where people like to drink on Wednesday nights in this part of the Midwest for whatever reason. To me, it's just the middle of the week, but there's this. When I was in college, it was like Friday, Saturday night is when everybody went out and had a good time, went to the bars and stuff, chased after people of the opposite sex or same sex or whatever the case may be. And then for whatever reason, it seemed to change all of a sudden. It's like, oh, well, we don't go out on weekends anymore. We go out on Wednesday nights. Which actually is Thursday morning, turns into Thursday morning. I think part of that was because I went to a suitcase college. That being that, I hear sirens. That being that everybody went home for the weekend to the big city, and the college, the campus, and the town were pretty much deserted on the weekends because everybody had jobs and they want to go visit their friends and stuff. It's like, you know, almost like being in a community college, you know. So I think that people were like, well, you know, we're college students, we can skip class tomorrow, we'll just go out on Wednesday night. Hump day, yeah. I don't know what that person is. Looking for their lost contact or something?
I just heard my name and my address over the radio.
Alright, I'm going to very quickly get my TVU and start heading towards southern Johnson County. It's southern Johnson, it's mid Johnson County, really.
I think they ran your pickup because it came back to your home address.
Heard maybe a TV in the background, but that was all. It was a report call from there. Ambulance call.
I'm in Kansas and Leonard. Do you need me to swing back around?
2132 Sagamore.
Yeah, if you can. Just these pill bottles are her prescribed medicine. If you could just return them to her or give them to the hospital. That works on me. Um, 05463.
It's very amazing and scary how quickly a fire can spread.
Respond on 2007 Fort Pretty South to Christina Slavens out of Lee Summit, shows no license. I got it. 33, can you either get over North 7 and have them call me my personal cell or give me the number and I'll give them a call. Alright.
So, you know, I can't take you in with me, so instead of turning off the broadcast, I do this now.
Union 5 Southwest Drive, Lot 97, North.
Don't stare at the red light too long. Yes, Tara, I can.
Area. Conditions for moving after rotating cars and no one should be there.
That's a pretty, almost like a Star Wars looking.
Second part of my number, also through Kansas. Okay, King 03371071. Repeating, King 03371071. Fenway, Kansas.
Last name Seymour, Sam Edward Young, Mary Ocean Union Robert, first name Devin, David Edward Victor Ocean Nora, first name, middle initial A Adam. Excuse me, white male, date of birth 6/12/1990, 6/12/1990, Missouri Yellow Lynn, Robert 201-356013, Robert 201-356013.
15, I'll take a second for testing.
Table.
1247 clear. 1247 clear. 14 good room. 342.
3509 17th Avenue North, correct.
10 in the area.
BRB.
RP doesn't want to be contacted.
Copy, RB didn't want to be contacted. It was just 5 shots in the area, correct?
5 shots about 15 to 20 minutes ago, and then she advised that she heard a couple more when she called in.
Yeah, well, thank you.
10 minutes. Copy, 54 minutes.
Hey, Tuesday lunch and party over there.
Hey, 271, go ahead.
Last sticky work. Young Ocean Robert King.
First name,
Kia. King Edward Ida Adam.
the county has a deputy general
White female, date of birth 0506 2005 6
2-4.
Car 102, Comfort 9, truck 6, 201 Baltimore, commercial alarm, 83. Car 102, Comfort 9, truck 6, 2018 Baltimore Avenue, Mid-American Heart Alliance, commercial alarm, 83.
With a Smith & Wesson, M&P 9mm.
406 Southwest Norman School Road.
Security alarm is solid.
Party apartment
Lost
7,
out of the
reference
spring
912. Heard noise coming from apartment 5. Imagine just told her to call us. And trying to see these people, officers, get some kind of details or whatever whenever he calls us. No further 15 minutes.
Seymour, right now, 6/12/1990, 58185. Sending a special 8779, Brown, OM 6013. Is this your party? Toledo PD for a traffic offense, speeding, 16 miles per hour, bond $50. Lowest for Vernon County.
I forgot to put my mats in and wash them yesterday.
King Edward Ida Adam, no initial VD rail. White female, date of birth 0506 2005 6 2000.
I don't know if I missed anything about the fire. I'm sure I did.
Enough information. He is indicator 1, and he's also going to be an armed patrol agent out of Titan Protection and Consulting.
I hear them talking about male subject.
P 9mm. COR is solid. Not sure if it's very clear.
I tried calling ADC, but can't seem to get hold of anybody. Can you call them and let them know that this guy is possibly when we get the 10-4, we'll get the group together. 57 minutes. 82 patient contact. Very late and rowdy of us.
82 patient contact.
308, you can
Trying to listen to all these, sift through the information I can't make out.
382. Robert, Kansas.
Special advice that the one is active, they will exercise. Can you call the customer?
Affirmative.
Turn green, says me.
You got it, General.
That's good. CNI vehicles passed on through Belton, northbound, Percy 155, a trailer, tan Volvo, and no trailer light on the back, 101 out.
I do. That was like the last 1 year, so I've been on T station.
102. I copy. We did check on the expert. It is still active. She didn't say that he was in the area now, but she did say that he was suspecting.
Is there any way you can get like a garage code from RP or anything? Truthfully, that's unlikely. She was not really responsive. Therefore, I'll go see if the bag's still on. Copy that. Fire risk in row as well.
Anyway.
103.
Well, Trailview as well. I'll be around from the LAC. And what is going on with the S14 violation there?
It's going to be a contact by phone. Parties receiving calls and messages and threats from.
Good news is weather's getting warmer. Bad news is weather's getting warmer.
She advised that he's been in the area, texting her messages that he sees her car outside. He's going to come in the residence. And
Nice weather tends to bring out the knife and gun club.
Page 502. We're just waiting for them to call in.
Yeah, when I get out there, I felt like the front of the lake handle was coming in over the phone. My feet is there now.
Call Robert Boyer, contact 75 GNC, Savannah 500, expert in August 22 to Maryland, Yvonne out of Lewisburg, Kansas. The first one was on a Mustang with call Robert Henry.
Can you roadside for this, or would you like me to meet you somewhere on 92?
We have nothing still. Pretty wide open inside. We're going to go ahead and be in services. We have no access.
Message received. We will let the alarm company know that the exterior was fine.
Two 123. Good. Is that the only occupant in the vehicle?
Affirmative, the female occupant's not in the vehicle.
Okay.
Okay, when I don't hear anything for a while,
380, can you back?
I think that the incident is over.
133 in the west. 169 and 159. At the car wash. 107. That was a silver and blue in color pickup truck with one.
Which, if it's over pretty quickly, then it usually means that
Copy 105, right?
it was a minor deal.
Truck plate 0
Copy.
114 and out 15. I'm sorry. On the north end here. Wave medicals arrived. Good. I'm on Missouri.
17, 19, 1, whatever.
Signal nation, I think 75 is stabilized. Likely I just set up this.
Okay, looks like he's gonna pull out.
Almost 3 minutes.
Medicals 53 will be on Phoenix today.
Medicals 53 on Phoenix today.
Lodge, he's going in here with him through the parking lot.
Copy. 361 sent you
What's on?
information on a possible
You know, light it up or you know, position for it?
What is his information? One of the paramedics had.
Well, he just told me, so I think he's gonna park it. Yep.
I heard something about paramedics.
Approach 40.
Anyone on Fox Fire?
302 back in the area, post 7, please, 318, post 6. 2 to 7. 18 copies,
On your license, Zebra Frank 1, Zebra 6, Edward, negative 29, 28, respond on 2010 Chevy Malibu to Jennifer Kaiser, out of Independence, showing March 22.
And he is Falcon 31.
Copy, I'll he's got issues, he's working out on his investigation, so I'll get it moved here.
Copy.
Sorry, 1112. 1112. Can you put me on a follow-up in OPR?
Evening.
Fine.
Being out to next student 29, 143.
Turn on my cruise control.
13.5.
Coming in.
44, be check Missouri. 644. Missouri, Edward Frank 1, Zebra 6 Edward. Edward Frank 1, Zebra 6 Edward, Missouri.
Last I heard mention of paramedics, but I
383, copy.
4740.
haven't heard much from this fire in
It's 42, attorney.
Johnson County.
129, 109.
I just want to be on people there. 563 Trooper.
I guess we'll go check it out and maybe have to stop by another Trip Quick and get some gas. Okay, I heard somebody say they're no longer needed in the back in service. That might be police, though.
Church at Blue Ridge and Ralston on an open door at their garage.
Where are you
What is it going to be sometime region? When you get a chance, can you check call history here and see if they've taken any reports? I don't know if this is new damage or old damage. The door's been ripped off this track. 17A, how many people do you think you're going to need? 24. Well, I can see the whole garage. It doesn't look like anything's in here unless they've taken everything. Next 10:15. Okay. I got it. I'll get that citation ready. Is that the one just north of the house that we left that barricade on? Yes. Yeah, that garage has been barred for a while. Okay, the lights are on now, and so I was just making sure. Back up.
You know, while we are passing time, what's on everybody's minds lately is what's going on in Ukraine. And I remembered this foreword that I read in this book written by, of all people, the Russians themselves.
Can you hold me out?
The Russian, I believe, Russian Military Staff College. A lot of countries have, with very well organized military machines, they have what I call them staff colleges. We have that here in the United States, several places. One really close by to here in Fort Leavenworth, called the Foreign Studies Institute, among other organizations where they teach essentially people how to fight and hopefully win wars, but more importantly how to avoid having to fight wars. Now, just because you put on a uniform and you train your whole life for a time when you may put your life on the line doesn't mean you necessarily want to do it.
The alarm was coming from a garage entry.
You know, any security organization or people within that organization will tell you that their number one goal is to get home safely at night. Be there for their kids and this and that and the other thing. And though people do like certain aspects of military adventures, you know, like the adventure of it, the urgency, the travel, the being needed, the being important, nobody wants to end up buried in a grave somewhere, far from home.
Number 39 at 15201 East 48th Arizona Residential Alarm 84. Number 39 at 15201 East 48th Arizona Residential Alarm 84.
So if I could go on a synopsis of what Brigadier General Metaxas said, and his area of specialization is studying guerrilla warfare, and essentially he said, if you go into somebody's country and you end up fighting a guerrilla warfare type situation, an insurgency is what we call it, low intensity combat, which is what a lot of 21st century wars were. It was predicted that almost all wars were going to become like. You can go in with the best military in the world. You can have thousands of troops. You can outnumber your enemy. You can have the best technology in the world. Does not make a difference. If you are fighting a foe who is determined and entrenched and has home field advantage, where they get aid and assistance from the population, it doesn't matter how good your military is, how well trained you are, how motivated your soldiers are, how good your weapons are. None of that matters. You will lose. It's a lesson the Americans learned in Vietnam. It's a lesson that the Soviets learned in Afghanistan. And then again, I guess it's a lesson that Americans learned in Afghanistan. You know, Afghanistan keeps coming up in this. The British learned it in Afghanistan. Say Afghanistan is a place where empires go to die. And now apparently the Russians are going to learn it in Ukraine. So if we already know this, then why do we insist on doing this? Well, it's because I don't know what the answer is really on that. I was about to say it's because. It seems to be because, though military academics know this, and professors and people who study history know this, people who've lived it kind of know it. Apparently, politicians don't know it at all. Alright, we're heading for 119th Street, which means we have to go further south. And it's amazing. We have people who are experts on studying other people. There are people who have absorbed not only the other people's language, but their culture, traditions, study them inside and out, become literal experts, to the point that almost that if they go over there and talk to these people, and people are like, you're more Russian than I am, for instance, you know, almost. And they become good friends with these people, our supposed foes and adversaries, and they sit around and they have tea or vodka or whatever, and they have dinner, and they talk to each other, and damn, I think that was a rabbit. Don't cry. Hope it wasn't anything like a dog or something. I wonder what possessed it to decide to run out in the highway at the last second like that. That's pretty upsetting. And you know, I have somebody on my rear, and that's all I can see in my mirror is his headlights. So. All right, you're going west.
Okay, Jeff.
Elliot, please.
And then South Quivira Road. This is way out here.
Advising that I've advised that this is the second call in the same area. The advisor was possibly different loss. There was a previous call of someone looking in the window on one of the residents, and the dogs are going crazy.
Somebody looking in the window and dogs are going crazy. That's creepy.
I'm still in the area on Kansas. I have not been able to locate anybody.
Okay.
26 in the area.
23.
The only thing that I think that's unfortunate about when we study wars is we always study the last war, and yet though there is a lot of information to be gleaned from it and everything, it doesn't always help you in preparation for fighting or avoiding the next war. And though everything may have similarities, there is enough difference in the new situation for it to be, you know, incomparable in many ways. Like, for instance, the beginning of World War I, people knew about how industrialized mass slaughter was upon us, and how really you don't want to line up your troops Napoleon fashion and go march against the enemy in brave stands and glorious charges. But we spent a good chunk of World War I doing exactly that, and thinking in that mindset, and fighting the 19th century style war, when even by the middle of the 19th century, that type of warfare was long gone. You know, speaking of World War I, the French army at the beginning of the war was wearing the same type of uniforms they wore in the American Civil War. As a matter of fact, American Civil War, many soldiers adopted the French uniform, which was a blue overcoat, red pants, and Oh, here comes Channel 5. But World War One, by World War One, people were discovering that you wanted to blend in with your environment and wear green or khaki clothes, and you didn't want to wear bright uniforms and line your toy soldiers up to get mowed down. You wanted to practice concealment and hiding behind cover.
She said she hasn't seen anything out here.
Copy. They have a combatant subject in a vehicle protesting, and the air is held.
So the French army quickly adopted that. Not quick enough. For the first soldiers, they got mowed down en masse. They had a blue uniform as well. Blue was a very popular color for military uniforms. But they quickly adapted olive drab, green or gray uniform, blend in with the environment.
Copy, thank you.
First name's Barney. There's a lot of history between these two.
You're the best.
Two minutes.
Requesting 1 unit at this time. 338, you show to be the closest.
338, I'm arriving. 330.
District, I'll show you back in service.
1612, copy. Use call to the battery.
130 hours.
Robert, George 3, John 5, Adam. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, one out of Kansas City, there's
Vehicle fire.
lots of traffic, and then there's some enemies on that one. He's got one out of Jackson County. That looks like it's traffic related. He is on supervision. That is Johnson County bomb supervision. Like no contact with signal witness resident.
20.
Alcohol transfer. On that, have to look and see what the original case is on that.
Very good.
This is traffic, and he is valid.
Kansas 5633. Okay. David Young.
Can you check for a driving status on the
41 will be en route.
Marcus Educated Trend?
Now I can tell you by the way they were sort of moseying back.
I don't guess I'm either of those awards.
Our guy in the kitchen probably did okay.
Tree on fire. 28 on Hyundai Elantra. 22 at Casino. 126 there.
115, stand advised, Central.
1114, please requesting a supervisor.
5036625.
Alright, well I'm gonna go check this out.
The 888 number that you have might be a cell phone.
What's that address? 9011 Renner.
Cleared to Florida from Missouri to Florida.